look at your plan and maybe say, okay, this didn't work out. Make another plan and start moving towards that.
God is sending you his blessings. He always wrap it up in problems. I said, okay, I gotta stop here to pray because it's time to pray. But now, before I got a prayer, I got a phone call from HR, from where I was working. You know what they told me? They fired me, bro.
And don't beat yourself up. Don't be so hard on yourself. I think that's so important. Don't be so hard on yourself. Just because you have one failure does not make you a failure.
Take responsibility and stop this blaming games. You blame everybody for everything but you. You never blame yourself.
The smaller your problems, the smaller your blessings. The bigger your problems, the bigger your blessings. And I think if you have that perspective, you'll have like a more open-minded approach to problems.
Approach life with a very flexible mindset. Don't think that there is one route in life or there is only one trajectory, in life. There are so many pathways to get through one goal.
Where we talk about issues that concern the young people in particular and the society at large. There is a next of the course is to help inspire, motivate, and direct young people's participation towards responsibilities in the developing society. Today we have an exciting and interesting topic to talk about, which is what do you do when you have setbacks in life? I have a lineup of interesting and amazing speakers who are going to talk to you about this interesting topic. They are not familiar, new faces to you, except one, which I will introduce to you later on. I have Miss Hadidiba, excited to be here. I have Mr. Kim Asane, who is also not a new face. And of course, I have Miss Betty Cham, who is going to introduce herself to you later on when the opportunity comes to her to speak. But I'm going to start with, obviously, Hadi, who will tell us about this interesting topic. When you have a setback in life, what comes to your mind? Do you feel like that's the end of the story? I'm not going to do it again. I'm just going to let it go. Or do you think that, okay, this is it. Let me give it one more shot or two more shots or things like that. What do you do?
Hello, Mohammed. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm happy to be back for another monthly session at Generation Next. I know I've been away for a bit, but I'm happy to be here today. I think it's before I even begin to answer the question, I think I'd like to just set the tone of where my response is going, like set a picture, for example. We all have an idea of how our lives are supposed to turn out and how our things are supposed to pan out for us. So oftentimes we begin our journey, everything is hunky-dory, it's nice. And the first time things don't go our way, I think all of us can remember the shattered feeling that we have. Perhaps you sat for an exam that you were preparing to move on to the next level of your education and you failed. Or maybe someone promised to pay school fees for you and you thought this would propel your life or change the profile of your life or set you on a good trajectory to success, and that did not happen, And these things are so shattering. And sometimes a lot of us experience our first setbacks when we are quite young. And basically it sets the course of our lives if we're not careful, either to the right or to the left. And oftentimes what does that is that there is our reactions to these setbacks. So you've imagined what everything is supposed to be like, or how your life is supposed to turn out like, or how these plans are supposed to pan out, and you are well on your plan. You're setting step 1, step 2, step 3, and all of a sudden one step just gets missing and you think, okay, I cannot even see the journey anymore. I cannot even see the future. I cannot even see step 10 anymore. Everything is blurred out and you are so dejected, so disappointed. And oftentimes you can do one of two reasons. It's just to stay in that position of disappointment and wallow in it. And it's very normal and natural for us to feel that whole disappointment and feel that, okay, our plans have been thrown off kilter and perhaps we would not be able to achieve our goals anymore. But I think what happens is, for me, what helped me when I experienced my first setback is having that kind of support around me. I think the first support that you would have is your parents, right? And maybe your siblings, your friends, and people who would tell you, you know what, this is just one thing. If you cannot get it, like I remember my mom very early on telling me there's more than one ways to skin a cat. So if A does not work out, you try B. The most important thing is your goal. And if your goal post has not shifted, how you get to the goal is not relevant. If you look at football players on a football field, they'll just be, how do they call it in Gambia, kataing each other. Sometimes you think that, okay, this is the plan, this is the way you're going, and then you meet the striker, you fumble the striker, you do this, and then bam, it goes into the goal. But then you go and you meet a formidable striker and it throws you off kilter and you fall down. Do you just give up and say, I'm leaving this match, I'm off the pitch? No. You see, they get up and they try a different strategy. And that as long as the goalpost does not change, it's not shifted, the goal remains the same, is to score the goal. And however they do it within that pitch, the pitch is wide, the pitch is big. And that's how we have to imagine our lives. The pitch is wide, the pitch is big. The goalpost is here. And don't make your goalpost, another thing that will help you is don't make your goalpost a rigid thing. So for example, what I want to say is, I want a blue dress. At the end of this year, I want a blue dress. And you're so obsessed with getting that blue dress, you don't understand that what is important is to get a nice dress that fits you and fits your lifestyle and will take you to the place you want to go to. It might not be blue, it might not be fitted, it might be a different, but it's a dress that's going to take you to the position, to the places that you want to go to, and you'll be able to enjoy yourself. But if you're fixated on the color of the dress, then you limit the possibilities. But if you now say, I want a beautiful dress, that makes the possibilities wide. That's a goal that you can work with whatever setback. Because if you go to the market and you don't find the blue material of your choice, then that means you can quickly pivot and take a yellow of the same material, good quality, that can make you another beautiful dress. But if you're obsessed with that material, that blue, that color, then there's a problem. Because if you go to the market and you don't find blue, that means you're not going to that party. So I think these are the things. Number one, understand that there are multiple ways to skin a cat. That means there are different ways to do something. And if this one does not work, you can pivot and go. Always will be willing to pivot. And number two is being goal-oriented and making sure your goal has versatility within itself and not rigid, so that you can always be able to change and expand and maybe add things on, and it will get you to your destination.
Thank you very much, Hadi. I think that was an exciting and insightful thoughts that you put in there. In fact, the analogy you use on the football pitch is even an example of how difficulties you may face, because this is 11 against 11, for example. You have a lot of people, once you have the ball, that are coming towards you to prevent you from proceeding further, so that your team doesn't score. That's a setback. An example of your life, for example. So whatever you go through, don't give up. Even if they tackle you and get the ball from you, that doesn't mean that you should stop.
Absolutely.
It means that you should even work harder to be able to move further and get the ball again, so that your team can score and then win eventually. So that analogy is very good to put in when you have setbacks in your life. This will take me to our amazing individual again, SBI, who is also with us on this show. And as we're talking about setback, we've heard what Hadi have said already. What is your own takes when we talk about how and what we would do to come back from a setback when you have it in life?
Yeah, so thank you, Hadi. You have highlighted some of the areas that I wanted to touch, so I'm gonna skip that part. I will just touch it briefly. In general, life is not gonna be 70 degrees and sunny all the time. So sometimes it's gonna be cold, sometimes it's gonna be too hot. So it's not gonna be comfortable at all time. And then setback is a beautiful thing. Believe that setback is a beautiful thing, because setback, it tells you, hey, now you are ready to grow. It's time to grow. And then you have to expect setbacks in life. If anybody in life, they don't have a setback, that means they are not growing. If you don't have a setback in your life, that means you're not even growing. Because anybody that is growing is having a setback. So number one, you have to expect setbacks, and also give yourself time. Give yourself a limit from your disappointment. So let's say, you have a setback in your life, and what happens when you have a setback? You get so angry, you get so angry and bitter and mad. And anger is a secondary emotion to fear, anxiety, and sadness. So either our setback will make us sad, or it's gonna make us, fear for our future, or it's gonna give us an anxiety for whatever we're going through. So, learn from that and give yourself time. So you say, okay, Keba, you have a setback, right? Okay, fine. Now it's normal for me to get angry for the next couple of days or for 1 week. But after that 1 week, my time frame is over. I'm like, hey, you've been angry, you've been mad, and now it's good to move on. So you gotta move on now, okay? You can't be staying in one place. And then the another part Hadi touched was always ask for help. When you have a setback, ask for help. Because a lot of time when you are younger, your parents might be your support system. But sometimes most of us, we experience our setback from the childhood to our teen ages, and then now in our adulthood. So you're gonna have to have setback until the end of time. But when you are an adult and you have a setback, now this time your pap might not be around, your father might not be around, or your mom might not be around. So ask for help. People that you trust, and people that you can open up to them, and they will help you. So always ask for help. Just in the brief notes, I will just and then change your mental diet. I do that a lot. If I see something going on and I don't like it, change your mental diet. But we will get to that later.
Ask for help, and that is true. And setbacks is a situation where you need someone to either give you a tap in the back to say, hey, you know what, you can do this, so don't give up. That moral support even is important to you. So don't always keep it to yourself. Ask for help, reach out to people who have done it previously, and they have either experience or knowledge about it to advise you, so that the next time you try, you can walk through it, right? But don't give up. Having setback is not the end of the story. It still means that you can still do it again, right? All right, Betty. I know setback is a very, can be very personal sometimes, but let's see what it means to you when someone says setbacks.
So for me, to explain my own perspective of setback, I would have to give you a backstory of my own experience of setback, which would go way back in high school. So I was just a normal girl, going through primary school, going through junior school and having good grades. And then it's like everything just crumbled during my first year of high school, going into science class, thinking that, okay, it's just going to be another easy breezy journey through high school. But then first term comes, and then and thinking that I would, of course, as always, being in the first or in the top of the class, I found myself in the bottom of the class, and that's where my own, moment of setback began. But I didn't handle it well. I wouldn't say that. I wish, maybe like Hadi had said earlier, maybe if I had reached out to someone, they would have given me or they would have helped me overcome that setback. But then me being a perfectionist and me thinking that I can do it all, I didn't reach out to anyone. I didn't talk about it to anyone, and decided to just, deal with it on my own, which didn't go well. Basically, I saw myself as a failure because I always referred myself back to that moment when I found myself at the bottom of the class. And it wasn't, like I said, I wish that I actually went back now, because when Hadi and SBI kept talking about support system, that's what keeps ringing in my head, like support system.
Right.
I should have reached out to someone. And going into UTG or going into University of the Gambia, I still went in with that mindset that, I've already failed once in high school, so I don't know what's the point of even doing any effort. I didn't make any effort in even choosing the course that I wanted to do. I just went into it because, that's basically that's what I'm supposed to do. I didn't take time to reset my mind or even think of the future. I already termed myself as a failure, and that's the mindset that I have throughout the 4 years of university. And even at the beginning of my working days, I still had that mindset. And now looking back, I realized that, how they say, like, maybe people will attribute setbacks to, things or situations, or for me, I saw myself as a setback. I became my greatest setback because I didn't fight the negative thoughts. In fact, instead of fighting it, I kept feeding my mind with those negative thoughts, and do something. I would. So, you're a failure. I mean, you've done it once. What makes you think that if you do it again, you would succeed? And I suppressed my potential in anything I was doing. I never did. I never gave my 100%. I think if I had worked on it then, I probably would have even, I think I would have past where I am right now. Exactly. But I don't really see it. Well, before I saw it as, as a setback, or I feel like I've missed out on times when I could have worked on it.
Right.
But then now sitting and looking back on those days, I realized that I was supposed to go through that, because now when someone approaches me, and tells me about these setbacks, at least I would know how to, lead them, or at least guide them out of that circumstance they're going through at that moment.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Well, I think Mohammed, for me, it's amazing. Betty, thank you so much for sharing because this is what I was saying. It's how we come, like how our first reaction to our first setbacks in life can actually basically almost like dictate how we move on from life. And if we do not have like a point in our lives in the future where we just recalibrate the way we think, and SBI said it's like the mental aspect of it. How do we recalibrate the way we think to come out from that set? Because the setback can be, I love the way you said that you saw yourself as the setback. So that point in your life became everything about you for the next almost 5 years, 6 years of your life. Because, I've gone through something similar, maybe a bit later on, but I think around the same time. And it's interesting how sometimes as parents, I think sometimes they don't even pay attention to. They do, but I think we're so fixated on our kids succeeding. With the nuances of how we succeed, when we succeed, we don't pay attention to it. And oftentimes, if you're a perfectionist, like you said, Betty, and I had a bit of that, when you go through your first failure, it's almost like you doubt yourself completely because you're used to excelling consistently. And all of a sudden, you see, that's why sometimes people who fail are so immune to the effects of failure. They have learned how, I think those people are champions. For me, I think I see people who fail, come back. I am in awe of them because if you're a perfectionist, your first failure, if you're not careful, will paralyze you. you're still the brilliant, amazing person you are. But because you're so used to success or a consistent stream of doing well, the first failure almost paralyzes you. And I went through similar, because I was like, you know what, all of a sudden, am I even worthy? Should I even open my mouth? Because I remember my first was in high school, but then the second most impactful one was during university, because I finished school immediately. I went on to do law, right? First year, second year, I was just but 1 year to finish my law program. It was a very difficult program, a very good, prestigious school. So, but unfortunately, I remember in my second year, first year, I had a failure, one subject, and I resat and I did well. Then the second, I was busy comparing myself. I failed 2 subjects and I was like, I'm giving up. And I remember my dad being so angry. I'm like, I'm leaving law. My dad was so disappointed. There was so much, anger. We were arguing. And he's like, oh no, you're going back to law. You're resitting in September and you're going back to your third year and finishing. I'm like, no, I'm changing course because I'm a failure. And I remember telling myself this to a point where I stopped doing the law program. After 2 years and only about 9 months to go, I changed a whole course. To this day, people will tell me, Hadi, you should have been a lawyer. But it just brings back bad memories, because I remember just looking at myself, because I'm comparing myself to students who had done A-levels, 2-year A-level law, and they were now in law school. I have never done A-levels. I was, just straight from high school. And I'm not using that as an excuse, but I didn't feel like, to be honest with you, I felt like I could have done it. I was smart enough to be in that class. I understood the concepts. I was, when it came to speaking and explaining these, I could outdo most of my classmates. When it came to writing it down, for some reason, I couldn't. And when I failed twice, I was like, I'm not smart. And you can be so deep in that hole. It's so difficult to get out of, because no matter what someone tells you, my dad is telling you can do this. I cannot hear it. So you telling this story, it's almost taking me back, because sometimes you don't look at them like, wow, setbacks can actually change the trajectory of one's life. Even though, like you said, I'm grateful for the journey I've made, but it does not mean I don't sit back and think, what if? And we were just talking about it before we went live, how sometimes self-limiting beliefs can hold us back from achieving so many amazing things. Just because we've had one setback, we basically write ourselves off and say, I'm not good enough. So when you see someone achieving something amazing, you're like, okay, you do it, but me, I can't do that. And it's interesting. So thank you for sharing that perspective, Betty.
Yes, and then Mr. Mohammed, before you go to the next question, let me just chip in for these 2 beautiful, amazing ladies for sharing this deep stories of yours. And perhaps it might be the first time you guys did on live like this, you know what I'm saying? So it's something you have held for a very long time, and it's been far too long to let go right now. And I can see what 2 of you have in common. What 2 of you have in common, you 2 are like a lioness. You guys are fighters, and then you hate to have setbacks. And then you 2 use anger. It was anger that stopped you from moving to the next level. And then earlier I said anger is a secondary emotion to fear, anxiety, and sadness. So now for Hadi, I can clearly say the reason why she didn't want to go forward, it was the fear that was making her angry. The fear of failing again,
You're so right. You're so right.
That's why you were angry. It's not like you were angry at your path or anybody else around you. It's because of the fear. It's inside of you that you are angry of, And then so for Betty, she was sad. That was her anger. She was sad because she was used to a place of to be on the top. Now she's sad to be at the bottom. And because she's sad, she's angry. She's like, why I gotta be down here? I don't belong here, Like the bottom is crowded. I want to be on the top. There is nobody out there. But because of that sadness, it was holding her back. So all of you guys were like your own gravity. Because if you know gravity, it will pull you down. So you guys, you were but at some point, fast forward, you have changed the trajectory. You have changed your mental diet, whether with somebody help or on your own. You say, you know what? Hey, I've been here. I was beating myself into the bush for so long. Now it's time to move on. Let me look for other avenues and then keep going. Because the most important thing about setback, you have to learn from your mistake and then acknowledge your responsibility, your role in that mistake. Once you know your role in that setback, then from there you will heal and then you're gonna go move forward. So for me, I have many setbacks, right? But one of my first setback that started at the earliest age of my life, that was the hardest part for my primary school was grade 4. I hate grade 4. They whooped me a lot in grade 4. I felt stupid in grade 4. I felt so dumb in grade 4. You ask me 2 times 2, I say 19. I don't know what is 2 times 2. Why? Because I'm so scared of this guy. He's beating me all the time. So my mind was not in the class anymore. So now during that summer, I was supposed to go to grade 5. So I went to the village in Kiang for that summer to help my uncles. Now after I helped my uncles, now it was time for me to come back to the Combo area, but my uncle didn't have money to give me for the fare. So I didn't come back on time until my mom had to find somebody to bring the money to the village so I can get transported to come back to the town. Now, by the time I returned back to the Combo area, it was 2-3 weeks past open school. Now what happened? They said, you know, I can't go to grade 6 because this was grade 5. I cannot go to grade 6. I have to repeat grade 5. So now me repeating grade 5, it was a setback. All my friends are already, you know, in grade 6. Now I'm in grade 5. But then so they put me in grade 5B. And that's why I was saying setback is a beautiful thing. So, and now in grade 5, now I met the most amazing teacher, Miss Sanya. She was so beautiful, man. And then I met my homeboys, farms, and many beautiful friends, you know, from that class. And then from there, and still now, I'm in contact with those people. And why did I get contact with those people? And why did I have that beautiful teacher in my life? It was because of a setback. Although I was angry at the time, all my friends are moving forward, and me, I have the setback. And people might not understand. They will think I have a setback because I failed the class, because I'm dumb. But that was not the case. The case was I was stuck in the village. And then I came back, everybody moved on. And then another setback I would also highlight would be there was a summer of 2021. I was working out for a 5K. I was so fit that summer to get ready for this event, June 19th, Saturday. My manager told me about it, and I was working out for it. I was running every day in the morning and in the evening, getting ready. So I was ready for the event. So now here comes June 14th. Now June 14th is Monday, and June 19th is Saturday. That's my event. Now I have worked out. I have all the energy that I needed. My tank is full. I'm good. And in June 14th, I got a call from Gambia. Boom! They said your dad passed away. Now, that's a major setback. And this is a setback that many people can relate to. We lost our parents, you know, and it's a very setback of our life. So now my dad passed away. Now I have 5 days for my major event that I was getting ready for. I can't do it because mentally I'm not there. It's over for me. Everything. And then I had projects that I wanted to start that very summer. But when that happens, all those windows shut down. All my training, the energy that I have, out of the window. And in this 5K I was about to do is once a year, you know, once a year. Now I have a 12-month setback. So that was a major setback for me. So from there I was like, I don't want to do anything else in life at that point, because I was like, okay, now my dad is gone. He was the one that was doing stuff, taking responsibility, making decisions. Now if he's gone, now that's come to me. And then I'm not ready, I'm not prepared. That is why earlier I said when setback happens, setback doesn't happen to you, setback happens for you. And when setbacks happens, you know, it is now telling you, hey, now you are ready to grow. So that was my setback to tell me, hey, Keba, now your dad is gone, you are ready to grow. Because now I'm the first son of the family. I have to make shots, I have to make decisions, I have to provide the provisions, because now the old man is gone. So all those things, it was a setback for me for my life, but also it was a beautiful thing. I have to grow from there, and I have to be a better person. And then for my 5K that I missed, it helps me, you know, to get ready more for the next year. And I was able to get a lot of medals for the next year, you know. So I was able to beat my own time, you know, my personal records for the next year. So why did that help me? It was a setback that I had in the past. And when my dad passed on, my anger was not because of fear or anxiety. My anger was sadness. I was angry, but it was sadness that my old man, for the first time, somebody so close to me in my life is gone. So that was my anger, but it was sadness, and it was another major setback for me.
Great moment, and that was, indeed setbacks that you guys have already all seen. To sum it all, what they will say that what doesn't break you only makes you strong. I think from all the setbacks that each of us have highlighted here today, only makes us better off today. So Hadi, coming back to you again, hearing from all of you, what can be the advice that we can give to young people when we go through this kind of situations in our lifetime?
One thing for me that jumped out and I would like to share with people is from SBI's speech, and he mentioned something about the mental diet. Guard your mind, guard your heart, because everything flows from it. Everything about your life flows from it. So when SBI mentioned the mental diet, because in our heart, we don't know, our mind, our heart is more or less one or the same thing. Everything flows from the mind and the heart. So for me, I see it as, even though we have separate places in our bodies, essentially, but how we feel is more so to do with the mind and the brain. So for me, it's the mental diet. And I think SBI said, once you decide to change your mindset about your situation, it's interesting to see how for both myself and Betty, the reason why we wallowed or we stayed in our zone, and we made a setback, not just a point in our life, but a whole stretch, almost like, a big part of our lives, is because our mindset. I think it's that point where you see yourself as a failure. Like I was saying, we saw our goal as only one way. And we couldn't imagine, because the pivot, what we've always known has been shattered. And that is, we are excellent students, or we are, we do well without even, I don't know if Betty is like me, but without even having to push so much or study so much, I used to just pass. So I knew myself as a somewhat above average student, right? So because a lot of my life, I didn't have to read books or study. I remember my parents would always be fighting me to study just to get grades. But then all of a sudden, I'm seeing the result, the importance of hard work. If you put in hard work, you would pass. If you don't put in hard work, you will not pass. So that setback just threw me off. And my mental state was seeing myself as no longer the smart person, but as a stupid person. So your mentality is important, because I remember the pivotal point, the point where my life changed is when I changed my mentality. When I stopped looking at one setback as a whole failure in my life, but like as SBI said, it's setting me up for something else. And I mentioned something before, a setback can be a setup for a comeback, right? It's actually something that is not happening at you, but happening for you. Perhaps it's preparing you for something better. And sometimes there's something to be said about failure. Failure makes you more resilient. I don't know about other people, but for me, failure, because I failed, now the shame of failure, the anger of failure, I felt it. So what's next? What's the worst that can happen? I'm more resilient. And it's just me telling myself, you know what? The common denominator in everything is me. I can have the best life or I can have the worst life. And I cannot blame anyone for it. I can only blame myself. And I remember a conversation I had with my father, because after that whole situation, and I decided to change my course. He was not happy. I decided to do a business studies. I finished my degree. And because I felt like a failure, I felt I needed to compensate. Like I needed to overcompensate. I kept on talking about achieving this, starting this business. Every time, I'm like super anxious, always rushing to do something, because I felt like I had to prove that I am still, a high achiever. And my dad told me, Hadi, you need to calm down, because if you don't, the anxiety is going to disturb you. I remember that conversation to this day. And it felt like, and when he told me that, and he told me, I am proud of you. And I think you have done amazing. Because knowing that you made your parents or whoever, your friends or whoever, having that. So for me, my support system was initially my family. Some people is their friend circle, some people whoever. But for me, my dad especially and my mom talking to me, hearing them, my dad tell me, you know what, I am proud of you. Just calm down. You don't need to achieve everything today. Just keep working hard. It will come. It just made me think, relax. And I started to see myself. If I fail in life, it's me. If I succeed, it's me. I am the common denominator. So what can I do? I started to change my mindset about failure and success. And we were talking about it before we went live. Sometimes you can be so fixated on how Mohammed did it that you forget that you're also doing well. So I started to just calm down. Sometimes when you have a setback, just stay in it, recalibrate, have a different mental diet. Look at your plan and maybe say, okay, this didn't work out. Make another plan and start moving towards that. Step by step, and don't beat yourself up. Don't be so hard on yourself. I think that's so important. Don't be so hard on yourself. Just because you have one failure does not make you a failure. Don't personalize failure. It's not about you, it's about what you're doing. So separate what you're doing from who you are. You, the person, are not a failure, but what you're doing failed. So do something else. And until you get to the success you want, keep doing something else, keep pivoting. The only common denominator is you. As long as you don't give up on yourself, you will succeed, no matter what it takes, right? You will succeed. And I think that's what helped me. And that's one thing that I just want to leave. Just change your mental diet and stop seeing yourself as the failure. Your actions are failing, but you are not the failure. And keep pushing. As Mohammed would always tell us in the morning, just keep pushing.
Indeed. Keep pushing and stay focused.
Stay focused.
Mental diet. I mean, Hadi, that is very well resonated. I mean, it's a great thing that people should always take responsibility of. And I think what your dad did by telling you, please calm down, really helping a great deal. Because at the end of the day, if you don't, you're just going to break yourself for nothing. So that was a great advice from that. And just quickly, let me just move to Betty. Betty, I think your story is something that can still be happening to a lot of people. That is, that you've been a great cousin, you've been doing great, things are going. Your standard is this. All of a sudden, you're down. This. For someone to come out from this is not an easy journey. Imagine you are either a business person or a businesswoman or something. All of a sudden, things crash down for you. How do you feel? Can you be able to come back from that? What are the kind of things that would be going through your mind to make sure that, well, this is it. It doesn't mean I'm not alive. I'm still alive. It's just the business that goes down. I can still make it. So what are the things that you have put in place that still make you where you are, despite all of those, self-doubt that you had earlier on, or things like that?
Thank you for the question, Mohammed. That's a really good question. So the first thing I had to do for myself was to establish self-compassion, and making reference to a quote that you shared to the group this morning is practice self-compassion and be kind to yourself, especially during challenging times, because it goes a long way. Because it's through that self-compassion that you get yourself out of those negative thoughts. And even if you're having those negative thoughts, you'll be battling them. You'll be telling yourself, no, it's just in the mind. It's just a mindset, like Hadi had been saying throughout the discussion. It's just in the mindset. I had to be vulnerable to my own self, because I also did that thing where I even tried to be strong for myself. Like when I should be vulnerable to myself, but I was, trying to be that Hercules to my own self. So I had to, suppress that. I had to fight that and tell myself you know, it's okay. It's, you know, all those words of affirmation I had to be telling myself, because that's how I started, you know, developing that self-compassion. And other thing I did, because it's something that I never did as a young person, was anticipating setbacks. You know, you always set this goal and you see the journey, or rather you see the destination, but you never anticipate how the journey would be. But so what I did is, whenever I set a goal, I would always put it at the back of my mind that there might be a setback. So I should always be ready to like overcome it when it comes, whenever it happens. So, and that's it. I don't want to say it making it seem like it's an easy thing, because it took years and years. I'm saying like almost half a decade for me to finally, you know, establish that mindset, to have that mindset that there will be setbacks, whatever goal that I set, I have to anticipate that setback. And also going back to the self-compassion, because I think it kind of relates to that, is reframing my negative thoughts and trying to see the positive out of whatever setback that I'm in at that moment. So instead of, you know, looking at the negative side of it, I'll be like, okay, this is something that I'm supposed to go through. So instead of making it bury me 6 feet down in the ground, I use it as a way of being more resilient to whatever, you know, I would have to face, or whatever challenges that I would have to face in the future. And also, I think we've mentioned this a lot throughout the discussion, is have a support system. Like I don't think I can say enough of how support systems are important, because that is something I think I may have had it, because I remember my mom would ask me, you know, what is wrong, because she had seen how I was, you know, declining in school. You know, I wasn't my usual, you know, Betty being in the top and everything. So she was, you know, concerned. And I remember vividly the memory of us sitting in the dining room and her asking me what's wrong, and I remember responding, nothing is wrong. But when actually there was something wrong, but I just didn't.
You were hiding it.
I was hiding it.
It's almost like the negative self-talk. You felt you don't want to disappoint her, because if you actually say it, you're actually agreeing to the disappointment or the failure.
Exactly. So I couldn't tell her. It's either I couldn't tell her, or I just didn't know how to explain that situation at the moment, because, you know, I thought I was the only one that was going through it, because you would see your friends excelling, you know, going by their normal days. Like, even though I was smiling and everything, but I was buried in insecurities. Like I was a walking insecurity for that matter. So I just didn't know how to tell her that this is what I'm going through, because, you know, you're never really prepared for these things, when especially at that vulnerable age, where, you know, as adolescents, that's when we start developing all these thoughts. But we're never prepared for it. You know, we're told the physical changes, but we're never really prepared for the mental changes that we would.
That's so true. That's so true.
That's very essential. That's a very good thing that I think that, you know, us being the future parents, I think we should add that in our, you know, books in the future.
In the talk that we have with children.
Exactly, things that we should be telling kids, like, you're not just going through physical change, but we're talking about years of mental struggle. I don't think people know the mental struggle adolescents go at that age, because you're trying to figure out what, you know, like, you have setbacks, to overcome those setbacks. You have a lot of other things that you have thoughts going in and out of your head, but you don't even know how to navigate those thoughts, how to embrace or how to even face those thoughts. You know, you're only taught to just suppress it and move on and just, you know, go on. Eventually, even though eventually it will, you know, we will overcome it, but it's a struggle. At least if you're given a guidebook to how you have to overcome it, at least it will be easier. But I wish I had told my mom at that moment that this is what I was going through. Like, I thought it would be easy. And I also think I didn't tell her that because, you know, she, I don't know if I should share this, but she initially she didn't want me to do science, but I had to be a thick head. I'd be like, Mom, I have to do science. I want to do science because I wanted to be a doctor someday. At least that's what I thought I wanted to be at that moment. So I had my mind set on, it's either science or nothing. And even though during the interview to high school, while we were applying for high school, because of the grade that I had in the Gabeke exams, I wasn't qualified to be in a science class. But, lo and behold, there was a spot, they were shortlisting students that might make it, or at least they would consider for that. And I remember running to her during the interview. I'm like, Mommy, there's a spot open for, I can still get into science class. And even though she wasn't that happy, but she was like, okay, just do it anyway. So she gave me the green light. So her asking me that, I was thinking that at the time, if I tell her that I'm struggling, she might play the I told you so card, and I wasn't ready for that I told you so card.
Wow. Yeah. I know. Wow. Your stories, and I'm sure today there will be so many people, so many young people who are going through exactly, because sometimes you don't want to open up because you're like, if the minute you open your mouth, they're like, and the thought of that alone makes you just want to, because you're like, I don't want, it's just you, because then, at that age, high school, your pubescent, your body is going through so many changes, your mind is going, and it's interesting the way you say, and I like that you mentioned it, the fact that they prepare us for the bodily changes, but they don't prepare us for the mental, and there's so much mental upheaval going on. Because I remember I also went to something similar. Mine was slightly similar because of my grade in grade 9. Everyone was like, I should be in science class. Mm-hmm. And I was like, I don't want to be in science class. Oh no, distinction. When I went to the interview, they said, distinction, you have to be in science class. I said, I don't want to be in science. I want to be in arts. Mm-hmm. And the teacher that interviewed me put me in science. And then the person that accompanied me was like an older brother who said, okay, yeah, go in, Adi, you can do it. And I'm like, but I don't want to do science. And I ended up muting because you don't want to, as a child, you don't want to argue with adults too much. You don't want to seem like you're being too. So I was put in science, but every single day I'll be sitting in arts. The minute the bell rings, all my friends are in arts class. There's some people I'm in the same class with science. I don't even remember them facially to this day because I was always in arts class, right? I don't even know what's going on in my class because my heart was in arts and I was doing literature and voluntarily. But it shows you how sometimes, because we cannot speak up, or there's not, and I don't think it's the fault of our parents, like you said, no one equips them as well to talk about what we're going through. And because we don't feel like we can open up and speak up. And sometimes the society we're in, sometimes children are supposed to be seen and not heard or something like that. We don't have those conversations, I think, with our parents. So we ended up just keeping quiet and taking everything, as it comes and then blah, blah. But it's just interesting that you bring it up. There's so many similarities. And these are some of the places that it starts. And I love Generation Next for this purpose, that it's just telling people what you're going through is not an isolated experience. So there's always someone that you can talk to. And sometimes it's just taking the bold move. Because when you open your mouth, I'm sure if you were to just tell your mom this, mm-hmm. Perhaps you have the open arms to be like, yeah, Betty, this is what I'm telling you, blah, blah, blah. So what do you want to do? Perhaps they were even, because I was so shocked when the first time I had that conversation with my dad and the way he was accommodating. I always was scared that when I speak to my mom and dad, they would just shout at me and tell me, you see, you're stubborn. But when I had the conversation about my failure the first time, and he was so like, I knew you were going through this. And I felt like if I was there, you still would have showed it on. But you know what? You're doing well. You just have to calm down. All that, it's like, wow. So my dad is this accommodating. I didn't know, but I never tried to speak to him. Yeah. I never tried. So I wouldn't have known. But growing up, I just decided to speak up. And all of a sudden, all this advice is coming in that you are not a failure. You're doing well, blah, 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 blah. And all of a sudden, it's like a whole shift. So it's just amazing.
Say problem shared is half solved. So once if you don't see your problem, amen, you struggle with it alone. Mm-hmm. Thank you very much, Betty, Hadi. Quickly, let me run to SBI because we can stay here the whole day. We cannot exhaust this topic. It's like it's getting deeper and deeper. into the conversation. SBI, I mean, you've heard from the ladies. What can you add to that?
Yes, I want to say, Hadi, your dad, he gave you your dad. What that was a wisdom, or the way he advised you was a wisdom, So alhamdulillah. And then for Berry, I want you to understand that there are so many berries out there listening and who are going to be watching this video later. We have so many of you out there. I know I'm Berry, Hadi is Berry, Muhammad is Berry, and we have so many berries out there. Okay, and thank you for sharing your story. So I want to expand a little bit on mental diet. So I want to break it down for the people who are going to be listening, because we say mental diet. So now they might be asking, what the hell is mental diet? So here's I'm gonna break it down for you real quick. When we are going on a diet physically, we say I want to lose weight, I want to do this, so we go on a physical diet. What do we do on a physical diet? We change what we eat, right? So we start to eat healthy. We start to eat more vegetables. We start to eat, we limit how much we eat rice. We limit our fat food consumption, right? That's our physical diet. Now the mental diet is when you change your diet from negative thinking, now you started thinking positive. You say, look, I can do this, and then I fail once, and I'm down once, but it's not the end of my life. I can always come back from here, because life is full of ups and downs, and it needs only effort and determination to overcome some of the obstacles that may come across your way. And this is my obstacles. And let me tell you something real quick. God, whom we serve, if God is if God is sending you his blessings, he always wrap it up in problems. God always wrap his blessings in problems. Now, the bigger your problem, the bigger your blessing. Okay. So he's not gonna. He always gives you he always wrap it up in a small problem. So, and I know what I'm gonna share with you, and many people can relate to this. Okay, and some people maybe they have not. So, if you are on a job and you have been let go on a job, okay, here's a news for you. I remember in 2020, I was on my way from Tennessee to Maryland, on our way with my family. Like the day before the Tabaski, how we fast that very first day. I don't know whether they call it Arafat.
Arafat.
Arafat, yeah. I just said Arafat. I some food, right? Not Arafat, but Arafat. All right. Excuse me. So that very day I was fasting, right? I'm fasting. It's a good day. It's one of the most blessing days for that particular week, right? Or that year. I was fasting and I was on my way with my family. Now, the moment we enter Virginia, I said, okay, I gotta stop here to pray because it's time to pray. But now, before I got a prayer, I got a phone call from HR, from where I was working. You know what they told me? They fired me, bro. I was on my way. I was with my family. They called me. They said, and then the HR called me. He said, hey, is that Keba? I said, yeah, this is Keba. He said, hey, I want to let you know, you have been terminated. So I'm so sorry for whatever. I said, no, you're not sorry. I said, you're not sorry. I say, it's cool. I'm fine with it. I say, it's cool. I was with my family, So talking about a setback, if you haven't fired before, this is for you, okay? And I want you to know, I've been one. I've been fired before, and that's fine, because imagine it's a source of income that you had, and then this job that I was fired from, I was driving 2 hours to get to the job, because look, I'm a grinder, okay? You can be smarter than me, but you can never outwork me, bro. I will do what I gotta do. I that place I go there, I normally start my shift at 6 in the morning. Because I live 2 hours away from the job, so I will go to bed at 11 or 12. I was also going to university, I was going to university. So now if I go to bed at 12, so 1, 2, 3, so I have to be over 3, which means I only have 3 hours sleep. So I get up at 3, take a shower, get ready. By 4 o'clock in the morning, I should be in my car, because it's a 2 hours journey, and I have to clock in at 6 in the morning. So I was determined to do this job for these fools. And then they're gonna fire me. So I was like, hey, you know what? It's your loss, it's not me. because when you fired me, somebody gonna hire you. So for anybody out there, don't be afraid to speak up because you are afraid to get fired. If you get fired, somebody would hire you. So I got fired, and that's fine. So I move on with my life, and I got another job, a better job. You know what I'm saying? Which is like 3 minutes from where I live.
Wow.
So
come back.
So now for God to give me that opportunity to say, hey, dude, you've been driving for 2 hours to go to that place, but let me get you fired first, okay? Let me get you fired first, so I can give you a 3 minutes job. So that blessing, it was wrapped in a small problem, and then I was fired just like that. And then if you are also into farming, and you have invested into farming, and you have failures, back in Africa, you have failures, all this gardening stuff, and I've been there. Me and my associate, we started a farming project in Kiang. We spent over $500,000, and then everything went kaboom.
Wow.
Everything went zero, from our goats, from our fencing, everything we have. And whatever we did that year, people come and steal our stuff, and then all our goats.
I remember that.
In fact, Mohammed, you were aware of that, right?
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, so our goats, in fact, we had so many goats, and then we started to name our goats. We gave them names. We had a goat named Sarah. We have Precious. We have the big one called SBI. It was the big one, and then the first goat that was born in the farm, we called that goat Precious. So we have another goat called Boyjola. We gave them names, So we are ready for this. We spent money and our heart and our blood and everything. All those goats, they die one by one, and everything was there. We went to zero, scratch. Now we have to look back. Who do we blame here? Do we blame the guy we hired? Because the guy we hired, okay, we gave him a gun, we gave him a cell phone, we gave him a cash power, we gave him a machete, we gave him a bicycle, we provide food for him, we built a house for him to be there. So we did everything we could, everything that we could to avoid anything. But God says, I have the invincible things that you don't see. So he collapsed everything else. So me and my associate, we take it hard. And then we say, you know what? It's a setback. And then it's life. We are not the first person to go through this. And then we will go, we have to learn from this and grow. Because when you have a setback, all you have to do, okay, you ask yourself, where did I get it wrong? Find that out. That's why I was saying at the beginning, you have to acknowledge your role in the setback. What is your responsibility in this role? What did you miss? And then take note, and then you grow from there. So, things like that happens. And then also when I was going to college in my final semester, we all talk about schools, right? So when I was in my final university, I was a computer science student at the university. So now, I was supposed to graduate in 2020. So now 2020, my advisor was also my professor in many of my classes. So now I was supposed to graduate in December, and then there is one class that you need for that particular major. If you don't have it, you cannot graduate. You have to have that class. And then the professor, my advisor and my professor was the one who was supposed to be teaching that class. Now, man, come to April, boom, diagnosed with cancer.
Wow.
You got diagnosed with cancer, and then in the last minute, she has to go for chemo. And now me, I'm excited to graduate in December. You know how if you are going to school, you say, finally, all these nightless stories, I'm done. You celebrate this moment. And then they tell you, hey, I'm sorry, man. There is no graduation here because the class, all the classes you were supposed to be teaching, they moved them to the spring. They are moved to the spring. Now, I don't have a choice but to wait for another semester. So even though where I was staying, the lease was according to my graduation time frame. My lease was ending in December, and I was supposed to be out because I know I'll be done. But now I have to add 6 months, which was not part of my budget or part of anything of my plans. But we all know, we always play. I don't know the wording they said, Yeah, man plan, God dispose. I don't know if that's
Man
how it's
proposes, God disposes.
yeah, man proposes, God dispose. Yeah. So my plan was for 2020, but God was like, yo, man, it's all right. I got you,
Yeah.
but you're not gonna graduate 2020. So so
I have other things.
so this is for somebody. This is for somebody who is going to school right now, and then you are having all this setback in school, all this setback in school. I'm just here to tell you, it's okay. You know, when you have a setback, you can always come back, because education is a life learning. It's a lifetime. You have to learn until you are like, look at the people who are in who are in like what 90 years old today. They don't understand smartphones. They are learning how to use smartphones. So it doesn't mean the more old you are, is the more you know. The more you think you believe you know, the more you realize you don't know anything.
Absolutely.
So there is always room for improvement. So if you have a setback in your life, have a setback in your life. If you are doing a construction right now in the Gambia, and you have a setback, I've been there. I did a construction. We did a construction. We did the wiring. Everything was done, and then I was so happy to go to the next level. I was at work. My brother sent me a picture. What did I see? Somebody came to the house and broke down all the sockets and removed all my wires, everything that we put in there, and then they stole all the wires. I was so angry, I smacked my phone. I broke my phone because I was mad. I said, where would it do
the food that did it to you, or somebody?
No, I hear people always do. I hear those kind of stories, and it's like.
So these stories, they are true, because I just put in all the wires, everything in the house, and then the next thing I know, everything. Then my brother called me and said everything is gone. In fact, they removed all the wires. Everything was clean up. And what do? They're probably gonna go and sell it for like what, $20? Sorry, maybe $100 or $200. And after you spend thousands of dollars for that, so that was a major setback. But I remember telling my brother this. I said, look, I've already been to darkness. Okay, I already been to darkness. I've seen it all. So whoever did this, they can only slow me down, but they can never stop me. You can never ever stop. You can only slow down my process, but you can never stop me. So I said, okay. I said, don't worry. We're gonna work. I'm gonna try to work again, and then get the money, and then we will do it again. So now, which means I have to buy the wire again. I have to pay the contractor to do everything again. So if those kind of setbacks, we've been there. So if this is your kind of setback, I want you to understand it and learn that, you know, all these small problems that we face in life, you know, God will always wrap it up in problems when He's gonna send His blessings to you. It's gonna come to you in a problem form. The smaller the problem, the smaller the blessing. But the bigger the problem, the bigger the blessing.
I think we're gonna have a section 2 of this setback topic. We cannot exhaust this portion on this. Like I said earlier, this is something that we will go deeper and deeper and deeper on it. So I just want you guys to give me your final advices to the young people so that we can wrap it up, because we've already spent a lot of time on this topic, and I believe and I'm certain that we have not even gone halfway into this conversation, because it gets deeper and exciting, and more is coming to be on the light, so that we all learn from what happened and what can you do even if you had a setback in life, what it makes you to become. So on your final note, Hadi, what advice would you give to the young people once again, so we can wrap it up?
I think for me, there's no better advice. I think SBI said it perfectly when he said, the smaller your problems, the smaller your blessings. The bigger your problems, the bigger your blessings. And I think if you have that perspective, you'll have like a more open-minded approach to problems and setbacks and issues, because you'll know that, okay, you know what, you're anticipating goodness coming. At least if it's not in anything tangible in your life, but in the growth itself, it's an expansion that's happening to you. And my advice is simply, as long as there's life, there's hope. So the problem, the failure or the setback is with a particular thing. It's not with you. Don't internalize the failure. Don't personalize the failure. You are not the failure. And I wish someone would have told me that. You are not the failure. the activity is a failure. And I'm sure if you dissect it, there are different ways you can approach it and come back stronger and better. So never internalize something, seek the support and the help, talk to someone. But more importantly, once there's life, there's hope. Keep pushing.
Once there is life, there is hope. Keep pushing. There is the spirit. Yes, Betty. What advice?
The advice that I would give, which has helped me till where I am right now, is approach life with a very flexible mindset. Don't think that there is one route in life or there is only one trajectory, in life. There are so many pathways to get through one goal. So don't just, have this goal thinking that this is the only route that I would take to get there. And also in the process, I think I said it earlier, be very kind to yourself. Don't, of course, push yourself, but also at the same time, be your biggest support system. Because before you even seek support system out there, you should be your first support system. Because I remember while we were discussing, because I think our last back and forth with me and Mohammed, which was in the festival last week, was him trying to get me to come here. But then, even though I was, telling him that I don't want to come, I kept telling myself, I don't know why I'm letting Mohammed, drag me into this when I should see it as an opportunity, because I've always wanted to be this person that likes to inspire people. It's either from the way that I talk, from the way that I dress, or and now he's giving me this opportunity to come here and talk, which I hope at the end of the this discussion people would get something out of it. He's trying to get me to come here to talk, to speak, to people, but I'm just telling him, no, I'm not ready. But even though I was telling him no, at the back of my mind I was telling myself, you should go. I know you're nervous, you're afraid to make mistakes or whatever, but just go, because you never know what you're gonna find there. And it even made it easier, coming across people like Hadi and SBI who even made the discussion easier, because it's like I'm just talking to my mentors, or I'm just talking to my peers right now. So just approach life, have a very open mindset. Don't have a very rigid mindset rather, and be very compassionate with yourself. And of course, I don't think we can say this enough, have a support system, because you're gonna need it. You are gonna need it in life. I think that's the advice that I can give.
So SBI, what's your final advice to young people?
Yes. So first of all, I want to say thank you, Hadi and Berry, for those beautiful advice that you gave. I think they are amazing, and then youngsters can definitely benefit from that. So I only have 3 points that I want to give to the youngsters and everybody out there. So my very first point is believe in yourself, believe in you, because if you don't believe in yourself, nobody else can believe in you. And if you don't believe in yourself, it shows on your voice. It shows on your body action. We all have been there. We call the customer service, and the one helping you on the other end, the way they sound, they don't know anything. You can tell from their voice, because they cannot even answer your question. So wherever you are, we don't have to see you. We can tell you don't know what you are saying, because you don't sound that you believe in you. If you want to talk with confidence, and then stand up straight and push your chest out and open up. Don't close yourself. Don't make yourself smaller. Because let me tell you something. When we are in a gathering, you guys know I'm into body language, right? When we are in a building, so now you come in there, and then you sit down in a chair, so you go like this, or you put yourself. So you stringing yourself. You are making yourself smaller. Don't do that. Open up. Take space. Be the alpha. Put your chest out and be the alpha. So what that shows? That shows you believe in you. But if you are in a gathering whereby if we were here, since we started this conversation, and I'm talking to you guys like this, hey, what I experienced, blah, man, you're not gonna take me serious. So you have to open up, take space, and believe in who you are. That's my number one. Number two is take responsibility and stop this blaming games. You blame everybody for everything but you. You never blame yourself. So we have said this here earlier. acknowledge your role in your setback. That means take responsibility, take ownership. Don't blame everybody. Don't blame your uncle, your pop, your brother, your sister, your cousin, your aunt, everybody. You blame everybody on the line except yourself. Why would you do that? And I'm talking to you who is looking at me right now and listening to this video. Stop blaming everybody. You know what I'm saying? Take responsibility and say, you know what? Yes, it's my fault. I know where I made something. And then it's gonna help you grow.
Absolutely.
As soon as you stay on the denial, you are not gonna go anywhere. You're gonna stay at the same place. Because you cannot put milk in the water in a cup and expecting water to come out. It's not gonna come out. So my final one, my final three is something we have already said. Change that mental diet. Change that mentality. Surround yourself with the people that you know you all are goal oriented. You all think alike. And then you and your friends, like you don't have to be on the same page with them, but just try to be in the same book. You don't have to be in the same page, but we can be in the same book. And once you're surrounded with those people and they are going to feed you with a positive mentality, that's going to change your diet from you dragging yourself down. It's going to put you on a healthy path and to be better and bigger in the future. So just keep those three in mind. Live in yourself, take responsibility, and change your mental diet.
Absolutely.
We don't know these are the great people that you will ever find in this whole wide world. I mean, we have amazing stuff to see with you. Watch out for the next ones coming. We're coming back again, probably hoping to see you next year, where amazing things will come. It was great to have you all, Hadi, Betty, and SBI. I don't think this topic is anything that we cannot have done better than this. You guys have smashed it well, and I resonate a lot with all of what you have shared. And I'm sure a lot of people out there would learn a lot from this. Take responsibility of whatever happened to you. Don't put it onto someone or anyone to blame for. Take personal responsibility of your own growth and make sure that you have a mindset change. Everything happens in your head. I had you earlier on highlighted. Your head, your heart. Whatever happens there, take personal responsibility and deal with it. That way you can be better off and grow. And at the end of the day, I'm just going to close with what I have shared this morning on that is our
Generation
Next quote of the day. Practice self-compassion and be kind to yourself, especially during challenging times. This is very important in everybody's life. You can be hard on yourself. You're going through certain situations. Accept that, that happened. That's it. But don't kill yourself. You don't have to die for that. Just realize that this is it. It has happened. So what? Learn from the mistakes you made, grow from that, and improve the next time. You become better off. On that note, I want to thank everyone watching this. Until we meet again, hopefully we'll bring on this next year. Obviously, Generation Next, you'll be seeing more videos coming on up to next year. But this show is coming to you again sometime next year. And until then, we wish you a happy new year coming in January 2024. And it was a great and challenging year for 2023. And it can only make you better. Don't give up. You can make it.
Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely.
Thank you very much. Until we meet again, it's a bye from us in Generation Next.